Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, I want to show you SageMaker Studio Labs, which I think is a great service that AWS never seems to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and type it in. This is a great way to start working with GPUs and CPUs without the risk of any spend. So here it's at studiolab.sagemaker.aws. To get into it, you must log in with your builder ID. And so you need to create yourself an account. There's some process to that. It's not too difficult. But, it is not instantaneous either. So I'm going to go ahead here and get my builder ID. Just give me a moment here. I think it's my builder ID. If it's not, you know what? Maybe it's something separate here. SageMaker Studio Labs. I thought it was builder ID, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and use my builder ID here. I'm not sure if it will work. So just go ahead here and type this in and sign in. Is it my builder ID? We have to choose our buckets. There we go. Try this again here, confirm. Choose the curtains. I don't know why they do this. I guess it's to stop people that are trying to mine data. And so you have two options here where you can run it with CPUs or GPUs. It depends on your project. Let's go ahead and run it with GPUs, which is more exciting. And I mean, I'm not going to run this longer for 4 hours, so it's not a big deal. But it says there's no runtime available. So if that's the case, then we're just going to have to go with CPUs. GPUs are not always available, which is totally fine. But what I like about SageMaker Studio Labs is the labs or the notebooks that come with it are really well created. And I think I recognize the person because I've seen them create other things before. And so I always want to say to that person who makes those notebooks, great job. But we'll wait for this to launch here. So now it is there. And it's kind of a similar experience to SageMaker, but it's not the full pipeline. So it's basically just a notebook, right, with CPUs and GPUs. So you can see I have some tabs open up here earlier. So if we go over to the top here, it comes loaded with SageMaker Studio Lab notebooks. So if you go into here, you can start working with stuff. So if I go to getting started, it talks about how to get started with working with notebooks and all the other commands. If we go into here, we have a lot of examples. So Gen AI is very popular, so we can go ahead and run that. I'm just going to close out some of these tabs here. And let's go ahead and try something out. So let's go into generative AI. And so we have Mistral, and we'll go into here. And we already have this environment open. And so let's just start running things. So the first thing we will want to do, and this was already here, these things that ran. I've never ran this one before. But this is going to install transformers with Torch. C transformers, which is the, I think, the C compiled version of and LangChain. And so what that's going to do is run this, start to install this. Now we're running this with CPUs, so I'm not sure if this is going to work without GPUs here. So it says first you need this, if you run this notebook locally or on GPUs instead of labs, please ensure that you use the appropriate CUDA runtime. And so I'm not using GPUs, I'm just using CPUs. It might be really slow and might not work, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So run this one next. So here we are. I'm just going to increase the size here. I've done this enough to know like what I'm looking at here, but nothing super exciting. So here we are. We have auto tokenizer, and then this is a way of loading models. So it's a very straightforward way. And so this here is going to download Mistral 7B instruct from Hugging Face. That's where this is coming from, okay? So these models here, transformers, that's a Hugging Face library. Why they don't call it Hugging Face transformers, I don't know. It makes things confusing. We're going to go ahead and download Mistral. We could go take a look at this on Hugging Face, by the way. So we go to this one here. And so this is what it's going to download, this one here. Now we have this gguf files that has to do with I think it's llama C PPP, and so this format has to do with this fellow here, Georgie. This fellow invented those formats, and this is just a way of exporting your model weights, I believe. Model weights is the actual configuration of the model. So actually how it runs. But here it's saying model not found. You sure about that? Let's run that again. And I mean, that's disconcerting because that means it's not going to work. But we'll go ahead here and proceed forward. it's working. So even though it said the model's not found, it is auto-completing. So it downloaded the model and it's running on CPUs. What kind of CPUs do we have here? Good question. So we'll look up SageMaker Studio Labs compute. I've looked this up like 100 times. But this one here, if we look for the CPUs, what is this running? I don't feel like figuring it out. We'll go ask Amazon Q, the only thing that it might be able to do. What kind of compute? Oh, does it already have it open from before? So it's running a T3 large. Let's go take a look at what that is. Actually, I want to go back because I'm curious what the GPU was. Oh, G4 DNX large. That's actually pretty good. That runs a T4 Tesla, I believe. And so I want to just go take a look at what the CPU is on this one. So this is running what? What generation? A first or second generation Intel Xeon Platinum 8000 series processor. So you can see even with CPUs, you can do generative AI. It's not as fast as GPUs, or it could be optimized. That's another thing that we could do. We could optimize it, and then it could run a lot faster, but it clearly works, right? Okay, so it's typing. And then it starts talking about fine-tuning. So here we can fine-tune the model or do other things with it. Okay, so I don't want to go through all of it here, but there's a lot to explore. And, you know, again, I really like these labs that they have. Right? It's some require GPUs and other ones require CPUs. I'm a little bit tired here. It's been a long day. But yeah, you just explore them and you open up the notebooks and you go down them and you can learn a lot of stuff. But all these work flawlessly, which is really nice. When I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and stop it. Even if you forgot to stop it, that just means you're going to run out of your limit for the day. So I'm not going to cause any problems, but it's better if you do that if you want to come back and utilize this later. But there you go. That's SageMaker Studio Labs.